Welcome! My name is Dani Walker. This is the 2022 Miss International Recap. If you enjoy pageant-related content, please consider subscribing and hitting that notifications bell. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do so by hitting that super thanks button, checking out the merch store, or sharing this episode with a friend. And if you're a pageant contestant, don't forget to check out the free pageant prep course that's linked in the description. How exciting is it that Miss International is back in person? Oh my goodness, I was so happy to see this. As usual, Miss International started off their show with a national costume presentation. We saw a lot of beautiful costumes here. It is what we have come to expect from this pageant. I think a lot of you probably out there will agree that the show is very, very long. I could not even stay awake last night because of the time zone. It was on pretty late where I am, so I was falling asleep and I couldn't keep my eyes open till the end. It wasn't until the morning that I found out the results of this show. So I really wish that they would cut down the length of the show. I think there's so much that you can take out or speed up. Prior to announcing the top 15, the contestants were able to take the stage in their evening gowns. Now, one thing I would also like to see change for this pageant for finals specifically is to allow the contestants to walk out one by one. Give them that moment, especially if only 15 are going to compete during the finals. Let's give them that moment in the spotlight in their evening gown. Now I'm going to quickly go over the contestants that stood out to me during finals in their gown and some overall thoughts. Cambodia, beautiful gown. I like this look for Miss International. Miss Hong Kong, I was still loving. I think that she looks so beautiful in this white gown. For me, she was a standout, and I know that there were quite a few people I was looking at online that had her in their top 15, and same. India's gown reminded me of a December queen, just like winter wonderland, and I loved it. She also was somebody that I saw in some top 15s and somebody that I would not have been shocked to see in a top 15 but didn't place. Then we also have Indonesia, another surprising contestant, and this gown that she wore, oh my gosh, she was like dripping in rhinestones, beads, and pearls. It was beautiful. It was elegant. She was like the living version of a pearl necklace. Japan for me was just so elegant. I really loved this hairstyle, and I want to say I wish they would give us better video footage of the contestants. We mainly see the top half of them, and then they're splitting their time between the two contestants that are on stage. I don't feel like we get a really great full shot of the evening gowns. Philippines, Hannah wore a Leo Almodal gown for the finals, and I was actually kind of surprised by this style. I don't know, I just didn't picture her in this kind of gown. I really kind of envisioned her more in like a soft pink for finals, and maybe something that had more volume to the skirt, like maybe some kind of an overskirt added on there. I don't know. That's what I was kind of envisioning. But either way, she looks stunning. This was an incredible gown on her. And her performance, she's so smooth. Thailand I really liked, but I didn't like the particular fabric her gown was made out of. It was wrinkling quite a bit, and I felt like it was a little distracting. Vietnam, my girl, I am so proud of her. She just looked incredible here, right? Like, she looks so stunning, and I saw so many of you had her in your semifinal predictions, your top fives, and me too. She put in so much work, and regardless of the results, I'm still just really proud of her, and she looked just stunning here in her cherry blossom gown. It was one of my favorite looks of the entire final. Cabo Verde, gorgeous, and I love this hairstyle on her. I just wish she would have wore a different gown for this segment. I actually wore this exact gown several years ago in all black to an event, so it was kind of funny to see the dress again on stage. It just, I don't know, I was like, meh, I just wanted to see her in something different for international. Kenya was somebody that I still loved. I just loved her smile. I just felt like she was so radiant. Namibia, can I just say that this neckline on her really stood out. I just feel like it really suited her. It was beautiful. South Africa, I have to say, leading up to finals was not one of my semifinal picks, but this gown on her though, and those sleeves, I was really feeling it. Belarus, I talked about her in my swim episode, and I felt like she was giving us grand with this performance. Czech Republic, somebody else that I saw in a lot of semifinal pics, looked so beautiful. Her red hair really complemented that light blue gown. I thought it was so pretty. And I really liked the oversized bow. I think a lot of people though, it's like they're gonna love it or hate it, but I'm a fan of bows, so I loved it. Germany, look at Jasmine. She is so sweet and she looked beautiful here in pink. Speaking of pink, she looked lovely. I don't know why I was envisioning pink this year, but it won. Spain, that neckline on her really elongated her neck even more. It gave her a even greater appearance of height on stage. It was lovely. UK, I think, were the perfect shade of purple for her. I was just such a big fan of her. I want to see her somewhere else. I would love to see her actually at Miss Universe. Would love that. Canada, oh my gosh, I did not even realize how small her waist was until I saw her in this gown. Also, gowns are make or break sometimes. Gowns can really help accentuate your shape or they can hide your shape. And this one accentuated it. She looked lovely. Colombia in her gown was so classic. I felt like the top of the gown was something that we would have seen in like the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, I should say. And then the bottom of it though, because of the fringe, is a little more modern. So she had this like really nice mesh of the decades and it wasn't overdone. I loved it. Dominican Republic, beautiful in white, first of all, but second of all, I want to say that higher neckline seemed very strategic. She's a very sexy candidate, and I think that they toned down the sexy for international by bringing up that neckline, and it's strategic, it's smart. El Salvador, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful in this gold. I loved it. Very controlled walk. Haiti was giving me a combination between Tamrin and Lalela from South Africa with this gown, this performance, and this styling. Mexico, I like this gown on her. I actually wish they wouldn't have added the draped pearls. I just don't think that the gown needed it. She's amazing, and I know so many people were shocked that she did not make the semifinalist cut, and I agree. She would have been in mine. Peru was stunning, and she really needs to compete somewhere else. She cannot go to waste. Puerto Rico, oh, that over-the-shoulder look, it did it for me. That was a moment. USA, I have to say, I was very surprised with this evening gown because this does not scream Miss International to me. It just stood out from the rest, but in a way that was like, I'm not competing for Miss International, I'm competing for a different title. And so I wish she would have made a different choice for evening gown. Venezuela, oh my gosh, this dress on her, very Venezuela, and I really appreciated the small mirrored details. They weren't overdone, they were subtle, they were beautiful. Another shocking contestant to not see in semifinals. Comment below and let me know who your favorite gown performance was. After this, there was a little concert going on. Honestly, I wish that they would have incorporated the artists with the contestants. I like to see that mesh, and it also would have cut down on time for the show. But then we went down to that top 15, and I felt like it was such a harsh cut this year. I don't know. I just felt like they needed a top 20. And I like when organizations are flexible with those things, because I was like, 15 just felt like a really hard cut. I wasn't a fan of that. But I will say that some of the contestants that I think I was really surprised about that didn't make that cut, to reiterate, Mexico, Indonesia, Vietnam, USA, Venezuela, and I feel like online that was also the consensus. I don't know what happened, friends. I really don't know. If y'all know, please feel free to share in the description. But could you imagine if we would have had a top 20, there would have been room for those contestants and we would have been able to see them again. Swim kind of changed things up for me, though, I will say that, when we narrowed it down. So there were some surprises here for me. When I saw friends come out for swim, there was something about this swimsuit. She wore it to prelims as well, but it just worked for the final stage. I really liked it. Honestly, I wish there would have been some uniformity. I wish that everybody would have had a sponsored swimsuit. I think that would have looked great for the show, but I really liked France's. The glitter looked actually good for finals. I was surprised. And the walk, the quality of it, great. I don't know if this performance was just so different from her prelims or if she was just like on in that moment, but when I saw her here for finals, I was like, oh, now I get it. I understand. They made a mention before swim about how the contestants are judged on their personality through their poise and all of that stuff. And that really stuck with me. And when I saw Germany, first of all, she was very smooth. She was effortless. Like, she did a great job, okay, for swim. We can say that. But I did really feel like she conveyed her personality, not in an over-the-top way, not in a way like we see at Miss Grand International, but she was just really doing it. Like, I felt her in those moments, even through a screen. Philippines was just ready to me. She was ready to go, and I feel like she should have advanced. Not just for this performance, for the entire thing. Cabo Verde, how do you not? She's just another contestant that I'm like, go somewhere else. You need to compete somewhere else. She's a doll. Stunning. Peru, also really stunning. And I felt her sincerity too for swim. A huge fan here. Jamaica was another contestant that for finals stood out to me more here than she did for preliminary swim. Here, I was like, oh, I understand. Colombia was fun. I just wish she did not raise her arms. Dominican Republic, great performance, but look at her little wink at the end. I liked that part a lot. Spain, I must say, great suit on her. Oh my gosh, the way that her wardrobe has been fitting her, it's just like she knows what works for her. And she was wearing it well. UK is so pretty. Oh my gosh. I love her and her smile. And I just really need to see her compete somewhere else. Now we cut it down to a top 8. And then the top 8 got to present a speech. And this year, the subject of this speech was about well-being. And it changes from year to year. They don't even share what the speech is about during the finals, but the contestants know ahead of time what they're supposed to speak on for the top 8. Dominican Republic, she spoke in Spanish. I heard some things about being the first queen, Dominican, something. I am still working on my Spanish, so I cannot translate, but if you have the translation, you can leave that in the comments below. I'm sure everybody would appreciate that. Then we have Cabo Verde, and I am going to just sum up what she said because this also got chopped out a little bit in the version that I found online of this. Here's the gist of what she said. Also, side note, I love that she changed the gown. Anyways, becoming a queen was never a dream for me. There was always a lack of representation growing up, and it affected my self-esteem. She talked about beauty standards, how she felt she didn't reach those or meet up to those. Then she talked about if she is destined to be the first African queen, what she would do. And she mentioned speaking for those who don't have a voice, and then she was cut off. Now the next contestant, Germany, she said a nice little quote at the beginning. She mentioned someone that she really looks up to once told her that it's good to start small before doing something big. And the basis of her speech really focused on the importance of small acts. So she dares to do big things, and then she paused in the middle and kind of restarted a little bit, but then she really picked it up, and then the end of her answer got a lot stronger. So it was a little bump in the road for her, but she overcame that. And that just goes to show, ladies, even if that happens to you for an onstage competition, don't give up. I've seen quite a few title holders win even after they misspoke in an onstage question, they restarted, etc. That stuff does happen. Anyways, she also mentioned planting small flowers in a garden for bees, picking up trash. She said it's not just the big things, but it's the small things, things like kindness and peace that we should all be invested in. Now, Jamaica shared something personal that I did not know. She talked about dreaming of being the first autistic beauty queen. I did not know that, and that she is in a community that is greatly underrepresented and underappreciated, and that she will use her voice to advocate for all of those who are left behind. And then she said she would leave no one behind if she were the Miss. Now, Colombia, I couldn't hear everything that she was saying, but she said that as a woman, for me, well-being is feeling good about who you are, both physically, but more importantly, mentally. It's about your heart and your mind. And then she says, as Miss International 2022, that she advocates for mental health because for her, it's not easy to face pressures, but today she is representing her country. And then she's had this encouraging message of, you are not alone and I am here to help you. Spain shared something quite personal. She said that when she thinks of Spain, she thinks of passion and joy. That's what comes to mind. And that when she was 9 years old, she lost her dad, but she was fortunate enough to have an amazing mother who told her to fight for her dreams passionately. And she said that I think that passion can overcome mountains, and communication is the first step to global well-being. And if I had the opportunity, I'd hopefully inspire others through my actions, words, and the international language of music. Canada had an answer that I didn't fully grasp. There are inferences that I could make with this answer, but I'm not exactly sure that I would communicate exactly what she wanted to be communicated. So I'm not even gonna go there, but she said essentially this: imagine going to sleep feeling that you never want to wake up. And that was my reality when I had this toxic desire for perfection, and it started to destroy my heart and my well-being. And then she talked about how she started to heal, and as Miss International, she'll continue to empower each and everyone to be their own superhero. Changing the world begins with you. So like in the beginning, she talked about a personal struggle, and I'm not exactly sure if she meant that that had to do with her mental health or if she had a physical ailment. Not quite sure. Now, Peru started with a question, a thought that she had. What does it mean to be a queen? And she says, it's a question I've been asking myself. And for me, it represents how far we've come as women. This year has been one of the most challenging for me, and I'm glad to be standing on this stage. And Peru, the lack of education, she said that her message was essentially that everyone deserves health, love, and education. And she thinks her purpose in life is to be a light to others. So that is what she is here for. She was a huge fan favorite, and hearing this answer, I can understand why. Now, after this, the judges are separated into a different room where they're going to deliberate. They're going to narrow things down to a top 5, the rankings, and of course, be queen. Now, I am not a fan of this style of judging for pageantry. I would much rather allow judges to independently score contestants instead of meeting together and sharing their own opinions, because those opinions are bound to sway scores. Now, after this, they gave out some awards, some of which were the Continental Queens, which they said were selected by the other contestants. The Continental Queens were as follows. Asia was Japan, Africa, Cabo Verde, Europe, Finland, Oceania, New Zealand, and America, USA. Yay! Congratulations to all those ladies. Now the results. 4th runner-up was Dominican Republic. 3rd runner-up was Colombia. 2nd runner-up was Peru. 1st runner-up was Cabo Verde. And then our new Miss International is Germany. Congratulations, ladies. Congratulations to Jasmine. I'm very excited for her. We actually met at Miss Supranational. She is so kind. She actually approached me after the after party. I was about to leave. She let me know that she watches the channel and that it's been a helpful resource to her, because pageantry isn't as popular in Germany as it is in other countries. And so the channel has helped her prepare for pageants, and that made me so happy. And then she asked for a photo, and then she actually sent it to me later. So here's a picture of us. She's super, super sweet. I think very deserving. You could see if you just check out her social media how much work that she put into this title. She also represented Germany at Miss Supranational, at the last Miss Supranational. So she has been busy. I mean, that would be exhausting, honestly, going from one international pageant to the next. But she's really put in that work, and I think she's going to be a great title holder. She was very, very kind, and I can't wait to see what her year has in store. But what did you think of this show? I feel like my overall thoughts for international, and I kind of feel like everybody else is in the same boat over here, just judging by these final picks predictions, is that nobody really ever knows who's going to win Miss International. I don't know. Like, when I was looking at some of these final picks after I watched the show, I don't like to be influenced before. So I looked at these and I realized, I was like, you know what? There aren't very many of these hot picks that look the same. Like, the top 15s are pretty different, the top 5s are pretty different, versus when you're looking at the top 5 predictions for Miss Universe or Miss USA, for example, they're kind of all consistent with the exception of one or two contestants being swapped out in people's faves. So it's just really interesting for me to see that, because I personally don't feel like I have a great grip on predictions for this pageant. Granted, I don't follow Miss International Queens as much as I follow Miss Universe title holders, so of course that has something to do with it. But regardless, even after watching Swim, I just didn't feel as confident about my choices and my favorites going into finals. So let me know if you feel the same. I'm curious. Miss International is still something that I need to learn a lot more about. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode though, and I hope you liked it. And then I hope you will also check out my new Miss Universe episodes, because there's gonna be lots of those. And don't forget to check out all my pageant prep tips as well if you're getting ready for a competition. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you very soon.